Neptune's Ghosts and Other Scary Stories. Parable. Neptune's Ghosts and Other Scary Stories. This is an octopus. Neptune's Ghosts and Other Scary Stories, written by Caroline Repchak, Geoff Cowan, and Claire Keane, illustrated by Robin Edmonds, Chris Forsey, and Diana Catchpole. This is an identity and table of contents of this book. The first story is Neptune's Ghost. Second is Phantom Footsteps, Stand and Deliver, The Ghost Train, All Done and Dusted, Ode to Ghosts. Neptune's Ghost. Old King Neptune sat on his throne, made of beautiful seashells and studded with pearls, and looked around miserably at his underwater castle. It was everything that a royal castle should be, with huge and magnificent rooms, a splendid ballroom, fine chefs in the kitchen, and servants to wait on him hand and foot. He even had a court jester. But there was one thing missing. The castle had no ghosts, and as everyone knows, all proper castles should be haunted. And the fact that his castle had no ghosts was getting poor old King Neptune down. So he sat on his throne frowning as he tried to think what to do. Just then, the little court jester appeared. He was a young octopus called Oscar, who had delighted the king with his juggling tricks when he applied for the job. He was also very good at telling jokes, and he tried one out on the king now to see if he could cheer him up. "Excuse me, your majesty, but what do you get if you cross a newspaper with a sleeping pill?" he asked. Shakily, "A snooze-paper." The king, who had been staring absent-mindedly into space, suddenly looked startled, then let out a loud guffaw. "Brilliant! Oscar, you are brilliant! Why ever didn't I think of it before?" "It wasn't that good a joke, your majesty," sighed the little jester. "Rather bewildered. "Never mind jokes right now," sighed the king. "Fetch me a pen and a piece of paper." The king took up the pen, and in no time at all he had drafted out an advertisement. "Wanted, one ghost for royal castle. Must be good at hunting, making spooky noises, and walking through walls. Excellent rates of pie, 2 weeks holiday, and free luncheon voucher for successful applicants. Apply at King Neptune's castle." "Here," said the king, handing the piece of paper to Oscar. "Put this advertisement in the Ocean Times. We should have a ghost in the castle in no time." And he sat back in his throne and smiled to him in satisfaction. Well, the king was quite right. In no time and all there was a ghost in the castle. In fact, There were several hundred ghosts all queuing up waiting for an interview with the king. There were the ghosts of ancient marines who had met with a watery end and were eager to escape their shipwrecked homes. There were the ghosts of villainous spirits with hooked forelimbs and patch over their eyes. There were the ghosts of brave fishermen who had been thrown into the stormy seas, still clutching their rods to their chests. There were wizened old sea spirits, sprites, and lively young sea nymphs, but none of them seems to be quite what the king had in mind. He watched them all unmoved as they yelled and howled, pulling ghastly face and doing their worst to impress him. Oscar, he's trembling behind the king's throne. Aren't any of them scary enough for you, your majesty? He whispers in amazement. They all seem terrifying to me. That's just it, sighed the King Neptune. They are all far too scary, too big and rough and ugly. What I really wanted was a little ghost like the one in my storybook. He pulled out a large book from under his throne and pointed to a picture of fluffy little white ghost peeking out from behind a fairy tale king's throne. Just then, a haunting little sound echoes in his ears. The king shivered. "What was that?" he asked. But before Oscar could reply, the sound came again, and a fuzzy little white shape came floating through the wall. There before the king hovered the ghost of a little white whale who had perished when he got caught in some fishing nets and had been roaming the ocean of the world looking for a home ever since. The king blinked and rubbed his eyes. "Perfect!" he cried, and dismissing all the other applicants, he offered the ghostly little whale the job on the spot. The little whale accepted happily, and the king smiled with satisfaction. Now his castle had everything that a proper royal castle should have. And so this tale has the ending that every proper fairy tale should have, that they all lived happily ever after. Okay.